Welcome to the show, everybody. I want to remind each of you to like and subscribe on YouTube. It's Film Talk Radio. And I want to introduce a very special guest today, also guest host of the show, frequent guest host of the show. This is creative strategist Castle Searcy from the Santa Fe International Film Festival. Thank you so much for all the amazing shows that you've turned out recently. I just laugh and go on a journey. You meet these interesting people. Uh, Start early on and tell people about where you come from and who you are.
Yeah, so my name is Castle. It is a real name. My parents were both born in Mississippi. I was born in Florida. We moved around a lot as kids. At some point, I lived in the backwoods of Mississippi, out 40 miles outside of Jackson when I was in junior high. We lived a lot between Florida and Colorado. I would say I'm based in Denver now. My office is here. I live in New York part time, go to San Francisco a lot, and consider Santa Fe a second or third home as well.
Are you in Denver now?
I'm in Denver now. Yeah, I'm kind of nomadic these days, so I just got back from New York. I'm in Denver for a few days. I'll go down to Florence, rural Colorado, with my mom for a little bit.
Excellent. No, it's good to be in many places all at once like that.
Yeah, you can now, thanks to Zoom.
So, the kind of work you do in Denver as a creative strategist, you'll do anything from a pub crawl recently to stuff with Casa Bonita. The Denver Film Festival for many, many years. You wrote the dailies. Tell me about that.
About the dailies or all of
Just
them?
about your
Yeah.
like what. Tell me about how I can. I know it's impossible to pin you down, but uh, how can the layperson understand your
Yeah.
sphere of influence or career in Denver? I know you have the official title, the Kevin Bacon of Denver.
Yeah, yeah. It's hard for me to explain what I do, but basically, anything creative, anything I feel like doing, and it all circles around art, entrepreneurship, fashion, film, fun. And I'm freelance. I do graphic design. I do installations for events, usually with different brands. Um, Collaborations. I curate public art, the Casa Bonita thing. So I went to high school in Denver. I went to college at CU Denver, and all the while I was working at Casa Bonita for 5 years, working in the gift shop, doing all the buying and marketing. And that led to my next job, which was in apparel product development in San Francisco. But when I came back to Denver about 12 years ago, I got my job back at Casa Bonita because I was 2 months short of my 5 year mark, which just seemed like something I needed. And at the time, I couldn't keep working there after I graduated. I just couldn't. So I came back to get my 2 months. I ended up staying like 7 years, ultimately only working one day a year. That all ended with the pandemic, and I really haven't been able to get my job back there since they reopened. But, they probably saw I was working one day a year and weren't interested. But
That's about enough.
I call it novelty jobs. I have things that just entertain me that are almost like volunteer work because they don't pay very much. I've been a karaoke DJ, a regular DJ, uh, Casa Bonita. I'll pick up all sorts of novelty jobs around. Yeah. But anything creative, I definitely specialize in creative events, not just any event, but it has to have a creative twist to it, working with local artists, doing installations. It's got to have, and I need to have creative control of it. So it's kind of what
Yeah, I think that really worked well with Film Talk Weekly since you've taken it in a direction that's very much your own, and you've got a style. You've got. Tell me a little bit about your philosophy and what kind of shows you're doing and some of the guests you've had.
I guess it kind of started. I teach a class here in Denver for the Museum of Contemporary Art in the summer, and it's youth age 17 to 26, not on the college path, creatives, and I teach creative exploration. And so all different fields, they have all different interests or no interests. So what I started doing in my class was bringing in people making it in the various creative businesses and getting them to tell their stories, and this is how it's done, and seeing real life examples of people doing what they love. And it's really compelling. And that's kind of where I went with the film talk is people always wonder, how do you get into this business? Like, or how does it happen? And, you know, listening to people's stories about how they got into it and how they make it, even if they have to have a side job. I think it's really important for people to hear that regular people can do this. And here's examples of how it's done. It's interesting to me, and I think it's interesting to other people.
And you've been fascinated with broadcasting for some time too, is that right?
Everyone wants to be on the radio or TV. I've worked in television. My brother went to film school, and I kind of got into television and film that way. He's director of photography, and I would pick up little jobs on the set, producing, assistant producing. I don't really listen to music. I listen to talk radio or podcasts. Not a whole lot of podcasts, but I'm a huge Howard Stern fan. So that's what I'm listening to in the background.
Yeah, I grew up. I very much like the movie Howard Stern's Private Parts,
Love it. Yeah.
and I think he was such the bad boy of the radio, and then on Sirius it's a little different because they have subscribers, so there's no letter writing campaigns against him, and what
Yeah.
kind of once made his work very exciting is not there, but he still interviews some good rock and rollers and that type of thing.
He interviewed Joe Biden the other day. I mean, he's the best interviewer around, I think.
Are there some other radio or podcasters that you admire or that you listen to? Do you listen to like the murder podcasts or any of those?
No, but I did listen to Serial. I guess that might be even the one and only podcast I've really listened to. So I do listen to Howard Stern like when I'm at home doing stuff or working, and kind of all I have time for. My brother-in-law has a radio show, an online radio show that's also a podcast. So I have been tuning into that weekly. It's called Sounds Like Fun, KPEO International Radio. So I've been following that, and I'm actually staying in their house right now. When I visit, I get a lot of the behind the scenes. So seems like everybody has we all love having radio shows. It's fun. Yeah, I mean, I love the Santa Fe International Film Festival, of course, and I love coming down there once a year to work on the festival. And this has been great to like keep me in the loop for the rest of the year and get to talk to everyone that works there and you. And um, yeah, I'd love to get more involved in film any way I can. Just meeting the filmmakers and even like their publicists. Like I just love interacting with all the behind the scenes of what makes films happen. Uh, I started at the Denver Film Festival. Some friends were doing PR there. They brought me in. They brought me in because I had this headband that I'm actually starting this company up again called Wing Bandits, and they wanted some for a party. And so I made some up for them, and then I kind of got a pass. And then they're like, hey, you do marketing stuff. Like, why don't you do our dailies? And got to have a lot of creative freedom with that. And stayed involved in that for a pretty long time. Also did the dailies for kind of a spin-off festival, the Stanley Film Festival, which was like a horror film fest that was up in Estes Park at the Stanley Hotel for a few years. I think it moved to Washington to the site of the actual hotel they used in the movie, not the one that Stephen King stayed in, which is the Estes Park one. So that was a really fun festival. So I also get involved in the events, you know, I, when they need someone, like they needed hair, when they need hair and makeup people, I know those. This is the Kevin Bacon part, I guess. Like, I know someone who does everything, and I can help out the producers of the festival, help out the event people. I know, catering people. I kind of just like, people call me in general with the most random text and call with the most random questions daily, pretty much about anything.
Castle, let's take a short break and we'll listen to these messages. Everybody, we're talking with Castle Searcy from the Santa Fe International Film Fest. That's every October, and we'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. I'm joined by frequent guest of the show, Castle Searcy. I'm joined by frequent guest host of the show, Castle Searcy from the Santa Fe International Film Fest every October. Castle, that was so much fun. And, I've just really gotten lost in watching the shows and listening to the shows that you guest host on the station. You have a very sharp wit, a very good way of engaging these guests. And have you been having fun doing it? Has it been a good creative outlet for you?
Oh, it's super fun. I learn things about people that I've known a really long time, just by interviewing them, like things I didn't know before. So that's fun. And then I'm meeting new people. One connection leads to another connection, like, oh, you should talk to this person. And you start to see some common threads between them, like, a lot of it, like one common thread, for example, I notice, like, it's all about relationships, be nice to everybody, like, keep in touch with people, and because everybody, people move up, people move over, and everything comes around one day. So that seems to be a thread that runs through the interviews I've noticed with people.
I
Um,
really enjoyed the interview with Anna McGuire with Love in a Major Organ. You two didn't know each other, but
yeah,
seemed to get on almost instantly. She's a lot of fun, don't you think?
yeah, she is fun, and I felt like I knew her forever, and I kind of feel like she felt that way too. We had a lot of similarities, and like she's kind of, nomadic right now, but it's easy for me to find commonalities with creatives in general.
I met her at a party in Cannes and we got along right away. And
Yeah.
so being able to have her here, I think she's got a new short film, so she might be back in the fall.
Oh, great. Okay, cool.
But
Uh,
yeah, guys, if you get a chance, you could go to youtube.com slash film talk radio and listen to Castle's interview with Anna McGuire. Sorry, go
yeah,
ahead.
yeah, that was fun. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I love doing it. Like, it's just like talking with my friends or future friends.
Yeah, and I think you and I have had some really thoughtful conversations, and that's been really fun to kind of get into the nitty gritty of, how do we um, use being on the air as a way to express ourselves, as a way to uplift these artists, as a way to have these kind of deep conversations where you get to the bottom of certain things, where you scratch the surface of other things, and you're able to find a deeper connection with this person, and then at the same time connect with an audience through it. So it's been a really exciting collaboration in that respect for me. So when the shows are starting to come together, what are you looking for in a good guest? How do you get them going?
I mean, I start with the same list of questions every time as my base questions, and sometimes I don't even get to those though. Like, we go off on another tear and you find out, one thing leads to another. But the things I'm always looking to find, I want their origin story, you know, like
I love that.
down to where they came from, And what I like to ask these questions when I bring people into my class as well is like, what did everyone else want you to be? What it so much of us got, and I think this still happens, you get influence from your parents or your family, like, you should do this or don't do this, and so I find with my students, so much of that, like, they might be on a path doing something someone else wanted them to do, and like, how do you, if you're a creative person, you need to, it's only going to last so long doing something non-creative or something someone else wanted you to do. So how do you weave that in or change course completely? So I always try to find out, what did people want you to do? What did you want to be when you were a kid? I think that's interesting because sometimes it's the same, you know, sometimes it's totally different. And what advice do they have for people? Like those are in my, you know, kind of must ask questions. And then it leads off on different paths, you know?
No, and I mean, it makes sense that you would lead there by example since you've kind of taken this life path where it's very much fly by the seat of your pants and you know, you're fearless, you're a gangster, you do whatever you want.
Oh, there's some fear in there for sure. You know, there's some panic moments, but I, you know, every time I think of going to get like a day job, which those can be awesome also, something comes up and it's like I can fly by the seat of my pants for another, I can see 4 months out and that's enough. One other thing I like to ask people
But you know, you
that
get
are
them to
coming.
open up. Yeah, you get them off their game, and then you get them to really kind of speak about from kind of an honest place, which I think is really part of the skill.
Well, I think that's what we need to hear. As you know, I guess I'm picturing my audience to be other creatives or maybe people maybe not doing exactly what they want to do, and like hear what it's really like. You know, like I want to know: is this your only job? Are you making it full time doing this? Or do you have to do something on the side? Or do you have passion projects on the side? I'm going to be interviewing Robert Mesa, which I think, you know, we had a pre interview talk and it's like, and I did some research on him, but he's an artist. He is a humanitarian. He has all these other things that I think even if he was, I don't know yet, but if he was a full time actor, like really busy, I think he'd still make time for these things. So, but I think it's also probably supplementing his income, at least the artist side, the humanitarian. All that's really interesting to me. So I can't wait to find out about that.
Yeah, I mean, the show that I had him on a couple years ago, he was kind of the first guest that he really opened up with this story about how he nearly died from tattoo and ink poisoning. And
Wow.
so, yeah, guys, that's another show that you can listen to on the YouTube channel.
Sometimes I'm afraid to listen. I'll listen to yours after I do it because I don't want to be swayed.
Yeah,
But the listeners can listen to yours.
well,
Yeah.
and I think it's going to be a totally different conversation than what he and I had. Not only was it a couple years ago, so he's had a lot of new roles, including Dark Winds,
Yeah.
since. But you and I do a very different show, which I think is very fun.
Yeah.
Are listening to some of your shows. I mean, you've done so many recently, one a week, sometimes, and I think it's nice that they're going to get to know you a little bit more intimately by listening to this show. And God, you and I first met way back in 2013. Is that right?
It's been about 12 years, I think, 11 or 12 years.
Can we use
Um,
this last few minutes before we go to a break to lambast Derek Horn in some way, or uh,
right.
like maybe psychologically analyze him?
Well, he's a genius. I think we all know that. He has an amazing memory for film, just amazing taste. And he loves short film. And I love short film. I love that Derek loves short film. He's so passionate about it. Yeah, so I met him my first Santa Fe International Film Festival back when it was the Independent Film Festival. Met him at breakfast, and you know, I came down with Eileen O'Brien, who works the festival, and she's known Derek forever. They met in Cannes, they met and worked in Sundance. They've been around, so grateful for that introduction. And I get to see Derek once a year, but we also keep in touch in between. And I've gone to some of his other festivals and done Q&As. I go to Annapolis, and uh, I usually watch the Tampa Gay and Lesbian Film Fest, TGLIF. Uh, but he's Really brilliant. How long have you known Derek?
Since like 2011, I think,
Okay.
or yeah, 2010 or 2011. And yeah, I mean, he's one of the most rewarding people I get to work with. He really is passionate. I think he's also loves young people. You know, he really
Mhm.
cares about the students and has a way of really connecting with them. I think he's young at heart or something like that.
Yeah.
I agree with you about his memory.
Yeah, yeah, he does love young people and experimental young film. Like he can, like he relates to it, and he can see the talent in new and young and upcoming filmmakers. And he's worked in education, like he works at USC now. He used to work at Chapman, working with young people to get their films to fest. So that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. He's discovered a lot of people I know. I
So
usually just read the headlines and then I tell people, oh, I read this article about Jerry Seinfeld and he said film is dead. And usually the other person fills in the article for me. But every now and then they haven't read it and they're like, yeah, and I'm like, oh,
So Salma Hayek channels Frida Kahlo on stage with Madonna during her celebration tour.
I like the sounds of that.
The Oscar nominee was the latest star to join the material legend to serve up some tens. Madonna's marathon celebration tour wound its way to Mexico City, where the pop
Hmm.
icon brought up yet another celebrity friend to help her judge her dancers in a Vogue related competition.
Oh, fun, fun.
This time, Oscar nominee and perennial bombshell Salma Hayek made her way to the stage with an outfit reminiscent of her 2002 film about the Mexican artist Frida Kahlo, wearing Kahlo's signature crown of flowers and floral skirt with a Madonna inspired bustier under a
Nice.
leather bolero. Hayek dutifully held up her 10 flashcards and got lightly spanked as one should prepare to be when attending a Madonna show.
Cool. I like the sounds of that. I'll have to look up the look, the the
Yeah,
wardrobe
let's
for that.
see. I love Salma Hayek, and of course, it's great to see her on stage with
Yeah, that's
Madonna
fine.
dressed as Frida Kahlo. I saw the documentary on Frida recently that was at Sundance, and uh, that was fascinating. It was, they kind of animate all her
Hmm.
paintings.
I would love to see that.
This next story is also from Entertainment Weekly. Lori Loughlin quotes Chumbawamba in her first interview since college admissions scandal. And let's
I
see.
think there's only one quote that we know from Chumbawamba, right?
Yeah, what is the quote? Because,
I would walk, is it 5,000 miles? 5,000
yeah, tub
miles.
thumping.
Yes, tub thumping. I would walk 500 miles.
500 miles.
Is it 500? Okay.
Yeah, but don't they get the math kind of funny in that song? I don't know. I do enjoy the,
They're not mathematicians, I'm
yeah.
sure. Yeah. Maybe they are. That's something
And
to
so
look
she
up.
was just in that Curb Your Enthusiasm episode, and she was very funny, right?
It was very funny. I thought it was really generous of them to give her a platform to kind of, I don't know that she's canceled, because canceling to me is like for sexual stuff, but she was kind of frowned upon or looked for a while there, and I thought it was nice they kind of give her a platform to make fun of herself and
Yeah,
come back.
it was a little naughty too. You're right. You're like thinking,
Yeah.
oh, is that okay?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Uh-huh. I love Curb. I've seen, of course, every episode many, many times. I thought it ended great too, actually. Uh,
Yeah. So this recent season, I thought the first few, I was like, why am I
it was
even
rough.
watching
It
this?
was
Yeah.
rough. Yeah, it was
And
rough. And
then
then it,
yeah, they become very funny, like where
uh-huh.
what is it? He's disgruntled, but it's like Spartacus, and they
Yeah,
stand up
yeah,
and say, I am disgruntled.
yeah. It definitely like took on another life after the first, after the second or third episode. Yeah.
Yeah, and they did lay some groundwork for what became funny later, like the
Hmm.
stuff with his lawyer, him fighting with his lawyers.
But it probably all has a basis in real life. But yeah, I can't believe the show's been on 25 years. So, I mean, and yeah, the climate has changed. So, but then it's like he can almost do no wrong, like at least on television, you know,
Yeah, I mean, I think,
or I don't think he cares, you
well,
know.
yeah, and I think, there's some episodes or seasons that have suffered a little bit, but pretty much it's been a solid show with some great jokes and some funny
Yeah.
characters. So this next story, also Entertainment Weekly, Britney Spears and father Jamie Spears finally settle lingering legal dispute over conservatorship. And so this is a story we've covered quite a bit on this show for some
Oh,
reason.
really? Yeah, I
Well,
guess.
I think when the show began in
Yeah.
2021, it was at the height of the conservatorship and all the
Yeah.
free Britney stuff. So there were a lot of
Yeah.
fun articles to read on the show.
Hmm. Yeah. The whole thing. I mean, I follow Britney Spears' Instagram, and I'm pro Britney and her freedom and such. I don't think she's harmful to herself, and the conservatorship was probably unfair. I mean, she just got a unfair deal at life, like she has it all, but like I don't want to say it's sad. It is sad though, kind of. I don't know.
What about the Dancing with Knives? That was kind of a funny video. And it's made for some great dank memes.
I don't
Yeah,
think I
she's on
saw
like
that.
her Twitter and she's got a couple of like kitchen knives and she does this
Oh, I
kind of
don't think I saw
funny
that.
dance.
I don't think I don't think I saw that. Hopefully it's safe.
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, I think she's just so much under the microscope.
I just saw on Instagram today, like the first photograph from paparazzi of her going out and about, and she's like hiding in the back seat of a car. It's like, and then it's saying something else saying, I think on her post saying like she just really wants to go back to Louisiana, but she doesn't feel like she can because of her family and everything. And it's just, you know, the trade-offs.
Huh.
Yeah. I don't know. I want her to be happy and free.
Yeah, free Britney.
Yeah, I am free Britney for sure. Yeah. Something is wrong with that whole conservatorship. Like something was wrong about it for sure.
Yeah, and I think what we found out from all the coverage of it was it's more common than you'd think, right? Like
Hmm.
there's um, this person who's a big earner and their management kind of conspires with their family to take charge of the business.
Right.
And it's like, well, that's how artists are. They're not great with business. They're great at being
Yeah.
artists. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's I think a lot of yeah, or it shed the light that there were a lot of other artists dealing with similar situations, and it wasn't just Britney.
Yeah. And I'm pretty familiar with conservatorships. Like I've been a conservator before for my grandmother, and you know, no one wants to be a conservator unless the person they're conserving has a lot of money, really. Otherwise, it is a lot of work and a lot of stress. And, when people want to do it that eagerly, you have to kind of question the motives,
Yeah.
Yeah, because it is hard.
Well, I imagine when you were your grandma's conservator, you were a little nicer than Britney's dad and let her hang with her friends and
Yeah,
yeah.
I actually took it over from someone who was not doing the right thing. So
Oh.
I made sure my grandma had many good years after that. So,
Well, it makes me think she couldn't have been in more capable hands. Um, Everybody, make sure to listen to Castle's interview with Robert Mesa. And Castle, this was so much fun. Is there anything you want to say before we sign off?
no, thanks for the opportunity, Jacques. Can't wait to come to Santa Fe, and can't wait to, I think I'll go to the gala
Oh,
right?
really?
The gala's coming up. I would
Yeah,
like
the
to go.
gala's July 20th at La Fonda, and
That
tickets
looks
are on
awesome with the
sale.
Dark Winds cast. I'm a huge Dark Winds fan. Like, I loved that series. So
And yeah, you can get tickets at santafe.film.
yeah,
And
excited
yeah,
about that.
Castle, thanks so much for letting this audience have the chance to know you a little better,
Yeah.
since you're the most fun, and I'm just laughing all the way through some of your interviews on this show.
Good.
Everybody,
Thanks.
everybody, this is Castle Searcy from the Santa Fe International Film Fest, October 16 through 20. She's also a creative strategist out of Denver, Colorado, and New York, New York. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.